And, that's why we left. And, Valle de Bravo right now is under complete lockdown, and, there's bodyguards, and there's people, they're preparing for the worst. This could escalate to something that you could never imagine. And that's why I've all been felt obligated to let your listeners know around El Mundo.
Okay, well, thank you, Santiago. Last question. We're going to more calls in Mexico.
See?
Specifically, I've seen the president. I've confirmed he's on TV talking about he's going to get a vaccine for everybody. There's no way they could already have a vaccine unless they had been involved in this flu. And then when you look at the chances of 1 out of 99, or the numbers are even higher, but I've been reading what doctors have been saying, to have a mutagen that's part animal, part human, the swine human. Now they're saying it's bird flu, swine flu, and human flu from Europe, Asia, and North America. This has all the telltale signs, and I'm seeing doctors on record saying this, of a designer virus. And then and I started my show last night, and people were calling in from Mexico thinking what I was already thinking, but not saying, that people in Mexico are just spontaneously saying the government is doing this or hyping this to, again, pose as the savior, use this as an excuse to kind of just blast society down, so all they've got is the state to cling to. What are other people saying around you? Are they thinking the government is involved in this?
It's a very hard position you put me in to answer, because I work with professionals that they don't necessarily believe the same thoughts that you believe and your listeners believe. However, they are very, very upset because they realize the severity of this sickness could end up being disastrous for our people. And so, me personally, I'm very, very upset. I do not feel this is natural. I do not feel this is something out of, I feel this is something that is very serious, and that's why I've heard about the things you talk about. I've seen a couple of your things on the internet, and I felt obligated to call you because it almost sounds like one of your films. We're very upset, and people are dying in masses, and millions are sick.
Wow. Okay. So thank you, Santiago, for that report. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, the New World Order. All right, let me give you an actual document. Would you like to hear it? September 20th, 2001, Rebuilding America's Defenses, written by the Vice President, before he was Vice President, Dick Cheney, called for the use of race-specific bioweapons on third world populations. And even the Austin American-Statesman wrote a rebuke saying, "What are you, Adolf Hitler," basically. Okay, folks, it's time to grow up and realize what we're dealing with. Now, look, I believe this is just fear-mongering. It is a bad flu, gets you very sick. Any bad flu is going to kill a certain amount of people. I mean, I got the flu one time. I was sick for a week and lost like 20 pounds when I was a teenager, and literally was hallucinating 4 or 5 days into it. And I had to go to the doctor and get shot up with some stuff so I quit throwing up. You get dehydrated, that's what kills you. I guess they shot me up with Finagrin, I think they called it. And that ended the nausea right there, and I could finally eat. But I was weak for weeks after. But this is clearly, I'm 95% there that it's manufactured. By the way, is Dr. D going to be on next hour a little bit? Okay. Yeah, let's have him on at the last 20 minutes or so real fast to pop in. He's a medical doctor. I got a bunch of medical doctors lined up for the weekday show coming up who've been talking about this. Just unbelievable fear-mongering by the mainstream media. Mexico on lockdown, civil emergency. They've announced a health emergency here in the United States. And if they're telling the truth, only 80 people have died. That sounds like a lot, but 15,000 a year die in the U.S. of flu alone. It's well over 200,000 in an average year, according to the World Health Organization, the WHO, over there at the United Nations. So we're continuing to take your phone calls. Going back to Dre in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, Dre, under this health emergency, they have done drills before. It's called Operation Dark Winter. That's coming up in the next segment, to during smallpox or pandemic flu outbreak to lock down all the cities. And then they can have some of these kind of false alarms, too, to practice locking down the cities and federalizing things. And then they can use that as a cover for martial law takeover drills that could be for political reasons down the road. And they're announcing all over the news, you know, the The Arizona police to be federalized, state police merging with the feds, New York police merging with the feds, the Army to patrol the streets of Schenectady, New York. The Marines are helping at DWI checkpoints. 2 weeks ago in Tennessee, they found out the Army was running checkpoints of U.S. citizens on highways. The governor said, don't do it. The Army, this was in the newspapers. We posted this at Infowars.com. Just said, you know what? We're going to do what we want. Shut up, governor. Because we're already under this emergency, under this control. And they use things like this, whether it's real, i.e. a real deadly flu, or a manufactured deadly flu, or it isn't really a deadly flu and they're just hyping it. Either way you cut it, they get more power and control in the nanny state through this. Okay, going back to Dre in Atlanta. Dre, go ahead.
Yes, but what concerns me more than anything, though, is a lot of people in the Atlanta area is sick and already have the flu symptoms already. And I know the news is saying that a lot of people are starting to get it, but I think it's already here. And I think our government is trying to prepare for the outbreak that's about to happen real soon, in my opinion.
Well, that's how it works. It's exponential, depending on the flu model and the incubation period of the flu. You know, it could be 2 days, it could be a week. It could be as long as, well, half of 180 days. What's half of 180 days? We're talking about 90 days till this thing peaks in the United States. And see, they're saying that they first learned about it in Mexico on March 18th. This strain, they just told us that in the AP today, claiming earlier they said they found it last week. Now it's 35 plus days ago. They're saying that they found it, and so I don't know. I mean, this is just getting pretty crazy. And we know they've been drilling for martial law and preparing for a long time. Then you got Baxter mixing it, bird flu, with regular vaccines in Europe. I mean, I've been really talking about that a lot the last few months, and I'm saying that in the cards was a staged bird flu outbreak. And now this one, curveball from the New World Order, bird flu, swine flu, and human flu all mixed together. That is a designer virus.
Yeah, that's what my fiance said. She said, oh my God, that's man-made flu there, and for her to say that, it really brought it into life for me. But Alex, I want to tell you, you're the best. I listened to you for almost a year now. I follow you all the time, and I wish you keep informing us of all the stuff that they don't inform us about, and I really want to thank you for that.
God bless you, sir. I want to thank you for listening. Please spread the word. You know, I'm not perfect. I don't get it all right. I try to get it right, though. I try to research hard. I've been researching this flu probably the last 2 days. I've been researching it all week, but I really got on it the last 2 days. Probably 15 hours of research. And I've interviewed all these doctors and scientists over the years and studied the establishment. And I'm very upset in my gut. And what is the gut? It's the integration of all the info. And I'm not trying to freak folks out, but I'm getting calls from friends and people that live in San Antonio that the flu is down there and that people are sick all around them. And the flu season's over. And Paul was just down in San Antonio visiting family, and his wife and now has a respiratory illness today. Now, it may be allergies or it may be a cold. But again, they're saying it hadn't killed anybody in the U.S. yet. So, but why is it killing so many people in Mexico? Because they've got a lot more poor people? You know, a common cold in places in Africa where they're on the edge of starving to death, a common cold will come through in places like Rwanda or places, just nations all over Africa. And will just, kill, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of people per nation. So we're healthy. Drink more orange juice. Take that elderberry concentrate, super antiviral, colloidal silver, oil of oregano. These are all things, garlic, that have been proven to be very antiviral. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Chris in Tampa, Florida. Speaking of things that'll boost your immune system against viruses. And no, folks, antibiotics will not. I'm getting calls going, this antibiotic's good, that antibiotic's good. Antibiotics do nothing with viruses. You have to have antivirals. Chris in Tampa, Florida. Folks, antibiotics are for bacteria because they don't have a cell wall. Chris in Tampa, Florida, you're on the air.
Right, the viri have a lipid envelope or a fat coating that allows them to attach to your cells in order to infect your cells. But it'd be great to So glad to hear you're going to have these different doctors on, as you've had in Dr. Deagle's show. I was trying to tune in even more. I wanted to run by him some of these supplements, and we should stock up on them, I think, just because gun control would be a whole lot harder.
Well, your phone is really bad, so please get to it quick.
Yeah, if we're able to hold a gun, but the influenza viruses, the H5N1 bird flu, is a lipid envelope virus. I don't know about this current one, but lipid envelope viruses can be dissolved by inexpensive supplements like lecithin or magnesium peroxide products that release oxygen in your system, or ozone. And echinacea, the first caller mentioned, I might be wary of that because it boosts the immune system. That might cause hemorrhagic fever, which is why the younger people with a strong immunity succumb to this flu and other flus.
You know, that's true. It actually, explain how that happens, because I forget exactly. The people that really have good immune systems, somehow it then goes haywire into overdrive with hemorrhagic fever.